Good day, good day, good day, my good people. Y'all know what time it is. It is time for the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. I'm your host, Glenn Glasper, affectionately known as Mr. Dollar Out of a Dime. And I'm always excited to do this show. But what excites me even more is the caliber of people I get to sit down and talk to and have great conversations about the things that they got going on and the transitions and things that they've had in their lives. You know, most of us, we get in this business and a lot of us have one track situations. We stick to one thing, and that's the one thing that we stick to. And that's okay for the most part. But when you can grow in real estate investing, that is what I consider to be a real life real estate investor. And I have with me someone who I definitely consider to be a real life real estate investor. She, you know, it's one of those things where you always talk about where we hear people talk about being able to have somebody that go from the trap house to the White House. Uh, and this sister has a range. I'm telling you, she has done just about every area of real estate investing in a little short time that I've known her. I've seen her grow tremendously in this business, and now she is doing things internationally. And I certainly think this is somebody that you all want to have a conversation with. And I'm gonna bring her up. My sister, Miss Cynthia, Miss International, entrepreneur, Miss International real estate investor. She just told me something that you know my mouth probably gonna be hanging over for a little while. She told me we don't deal with those little deals no more. Cynthia, what's up, sister? How you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you so much. You know, I love doing this show with you. This is one of the best platforms. You know, I have an opportunity to, you know, give back and share my experiences with. So thank you so much.
Listen, you know, the pleasure is absolutely mine. And I would be remiss if are streaming live all the way from the fabulous Dubai. I think this is, you know, you actually transcended a whole bunch of things. I think this is the first international show that I've done. And it's no surprise that you would be the one that would be streaming from across the world. So tell the folks a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into some of the major nuggets that I know you're going to be sharing with us today.
My name is Cynthia Bragg, and I'm a real estate investor, entrepreneur, and started wholesaling like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Basically, when Glenn and I met in the backseat of Don Jacobs' car. And,
yeah. We got to clear that up now. We got to clear that.
We were riding around looking at deals.
Yeah.
And actually, Glenn had for sale. And I was young and blue. I didn't know much about real estate, and I said, "I'll buy it." And he said, "What it is?" So that's back in the day where I just wanted to buy up everything I could get my hands on. But that's how we met.
Definitely. But see that right there, I would have to say, now people got to get the context of that. You know, I made a joke about it, but here's the thing. When we were talking about real estate, I think we were maybe 2 or 3 minutes into the conversation. I don't even know if we knew each other's names yet. And I said I had a deal for sale, and you said I'll buy it. It's that type of tenacity that you know, that bodaciousness that people probably should be looking to have in this type of business. What do you think?
Yeah, I do, because as you said back then, Don had said, "Well, hold on, you know, what's the square footage? How much work needs to be done?" As you know, he was training me, and all I said was, "I want it. I'll buy it."
Right.
I have that type of spirit where you're just going for whatever. And I think that's, you know, really what's got me where I am today, just not being scared to take that leap of faith, not being scared to go for whatever. Yeah, you're going to have those bumps along the way. You're going to run into some things, but you'll go much further just trying to see how far you can go.
Absolutely.
And that's what I've always been willing to do.
You know, and I would say in situations like that, you know, there's some people who would call that ignorance on fire. But I would say Yeah, be that as it may, but there was something about your even experience up to that point. I mean, you weren't new to money and banking and stuff like that. You had some previous experience in those areas. So it wasn't just that you were just some, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed person who didn't know anything. But
Right.
I would still say, even to be willing to take a risk, and you had the support around you, so you knew that you weren't going to fall flat, but willing to take the risk, knowing that you had that support, I think is that's something to definitely be admired.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So listen, I know we supposed to stick to a script, and we supposed to, follow the order of things, but I'm excited to talk about what you're doing now. So let's get into it. Let's give a little bit of history now that we talked about how you first your first actual experience, your opening to what we call wholesaling in the real estate business. Um, let's talk about the growth, and then we'll get to the big picture. Why you sitting up in your high office. So from that, take me through some steps of some things that you experienced on the way to your growth.
Okay, so as wholesaling began to grow and I would close more, I got into flipping, flipping houses, and then as at the same time buying and holding rentals and Airbnbs
Mm,
was a real good niche that I just really enjoy doing to this day, and that kind of stemmed into. Um, Looking to buy, bigger projects like apartment buildings and, things of that nature. And it just kind of kept growing. And I think what really got me here was just wanting to scale. Like, how can I make money grow so fast that I can buy so much without having to go back and re-up, go back and take this
mm,
money and house and then sell that house, and then take this money and go buy these two houses type of thing. And that's basically, what I was doing. And I was just trying my best to figure out how can I scale this business um, to the highest level
mhm.
and, be able to come back and buy the block was really my thought process. And so that's what led here to this position as a trustee at U.S. Capital Private Bank.
Some people, in my hood would describe that as going from being a corner boy to a kingpin.
Yeah.
You ain't got to keep going back to re-up, flip this one and get that one. So now you're the kingpin or the queen pin, I should say. But real stuff though. So I want to go back a little bit because I was actually looking at some footage of conversations that we've had, in the past. And I was reminded the time that you came to the event that we had, and I'm gonna call this the original real life real estate investing Shark Tank event that you came to. Um, and I know you came in that event and you got some feedback. You presented a deal, and there was some sharks on the panel that went through your deal. They kind of tore it apart. Um, but you took that feedback, and that's another thing I definitely want to applaud you on, because most people would have taken that. Some people couldn't take stuff that happened at the original Shark Tank. They was like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about, and most people they pushed back, they raised against the machine, but you took the feedback that you got and you went and you implemented the things that were told to you. I know I'm telling your story. I want to let you fill in the details, but I want to just say this: you went from being a presenter at Shark Tank to being on the Shark Tank panel.
Exactly.
Tell the folks what that experience was like for you.
So basically, when I originally came to the Shark Tank, I came with a deal, and the sharks tore the deal apart, and I consider that real good constructive feedback, because what it did is it made me a better wholesaler. It made me know how to dot my I's and cross my T's and go back and get all my information together. So what I did was I took that deal, restructured it, and then went back and actually got it closed, because at first it wasn't right, it wasn't prepared right. And so I want to say maybe I don't know, maybe a year later, and maybe it wasn't that long. I don't know. But then when I came back, I was on the panel as a shark, and now I was actually buying deals. So that was the turnaround that Glenn is talking about, from being there, handing over a deal, having them tear to pieces and telling me constructually at that point in time, hey, this is what you guys need to do. This is how you need to make it work. And next time you present it, this is what we want to see. And then taking that information and actually implementing it, and
Right.
then come back, better, and being on the side of where we're now, teaching others how to present deals and now purchasing deals at that point.
You said something that's really paramount, and
Of where
for
we're
those of
now,
us that are educators, the one thing that we love to hear or love to see is people do real implementation. Um, I think that's one of the things that, even my mentor said to me some time ago. He talked about how a lot of people are information junkies. Like, they get a lot of information, they retain the information, but they don't go out and use that information. And I think oftentimes that's where the major failures are. And I have to say, I want to again applaud you, because you did exactly what was mentioned to you. And I remember you had went away, you were traveling. We Facebook stalk you from time to time. We got to keep up with the people that's doing stuff. So you went away, you were traveling, and I think you came home, and in that one day you closed 5 deals.
Yep.
And from seeing you do that, and knowing where you had come from, to see you do that in one day, I went back to my team and I said, yo, listen, what's y'all problem? So some of them loved you, some of them didn't like you, because you got them in trouble. But that's the perfect thing that like I said, those of us that teach this business, it's one thing to get the information. And now, I have a student who knows real estate backwards and forwards, but the implementation of the information is what's paramount in the things that we do in this business. So share with the folks, I guess, kind of take us through some additional things. Like, you went on to do some other major things. Everyone around Georgia and some of the other places that are neighboring Georgia knows who you are. Everybody was wondering, who is Cynthia Buys Houses? Why would you think people would ask that question? I mean, I know, but share with the folks how that happened for you.
Well, because our market was just on beast mode. And Glenn, every time you see me, I be out. I have my signs with me everywhere I went. We were putting them up everywhere, all the way from Atlanta to Florida to Griffin, Georgia, to you name it. All around of Atlanta, they were out there. And so a gentleman called me. He must have been somewhere from out of the country, and he just seen the signs everywhere. And he said, I just had to call and just see who you are. And he was like, I just wanted to know who you are, because I see these signs everywhere. And like, who is this marketer doing this? And I said, it's just me and my business partner. We get out here and we just put everything everywhere. And we be out sometimes till 1:00 in the morning,
Yes.
putting out signs. And I remember one day you was in Decatur putting out signs. Guys out here, I'm gonna make sure when Cynthia Buys Houses come out here, she's gonna see. And I said, well, you better have to put in a lot of hours.
Right. I said, listen, she must got a lot of minions around around Georgia, putting those signs up. Because I tried to keep up with you. I tried. I couldn't keep up with you though. I listen. I look. I bowed out gracefully. Listen, I was just saying the other day, we got to pay homage to the ones that are doing major things, and I definitely, salute you for the work you put in, because obviously it paid off. Because again, there will be times I drive up to a drive-through, to order some food and see a little sign, a little card there that says Cynthia Buys House. I'm like, look, who can outwork that? So definitely salute you for putting the work in.
Yeah, you gotta
So
bring.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said that was the branding. You have to
Yes.
really business because I remember sending out letters, yellow letters, and I called this seller one time, and she said, "Yeah, I get so many letters. I don't know. I may have seen it. It may have came or whatever." And I said, "Well, this is Cynthia from Cynthia Buys Houses," and she said, "Oh, Cynthia Buys Houses. Oh, I know who you are. I see your signs everywhere." She's like, "Hold on, let me go through this mail." She's looking for it. And I don't think she ever found it, but she knew who I was.
Hmm.
And to me,
Hmm.
that's powerful because that's getting directly in the customer's face. That's getting in their home. It's like advertising, like commercials, when they
Right.
can put to something, so to speak, type of thing. I remember I was on the phone with a seller trying to get the deal from the seller, and there was another wholesaler lady that was also calling it, and she had a name similar to mine. And so they were thinking all the time that she was me. And
Mm.
so they were going back and forth, and they didn't know which one of us was which because they Cynthia, then it was another name like Kathy or something like that. And then finally, when I actually went there to meet with the seller, he was like, "Okay, you're Cynthia. Then who was Kathy?" I was like, "I don't know." He was like, "But I was thinking I was talking with Cynthia Buys Houses." I said, "I am Cynthia Buys Houses." He's like, "Oh, okay. Well, then you're the one I want to do business with." And it
Hmm.
was like that power brand is so. And I mean, I can tell you story after story of why it makes so much sense to brand your business. And then from there, you can scale it up.
Definitely, definitely. So, and even from those signs, not just the business that you got from it, but the relationships that developed as a result of that. You know, I know talking to different people about, you and the things that you had going on, like several of them, like, "Oh yeah, I know her. We doing a deal together and this, that, and the other." And I'm like, wow. And I believe as a result of those signs being out, the deals were happening because of the relationships that developed from that, you
Yes.
know.
Definitely. And then as the deals start to come in, and as we started dealing with different sellers, different agents, we started getting a lot of repeat business. I would have sellers that after everything went through smoothly, they say, "Okay, well, I have another deal. I have another house." So I have a seller that I actually went to the closing table with 5 times. One
Wow.
seller, five
Wow.
times. hmm
That's
Yeah.
that's
So
absolutely amazing.
that's
Absolutely.
means that it's not just business, it's good business. That's what
Real
that
stuff.
means.
Real
When
stuff.
someone call you and say, "I have somebody, let me bring this person to the table," and they're constantly referring you business, not for anything else other than they know you're going to take care of that person. That's really the best feeling of why I love this and why I love doing this, because it's not just about the money, it's about helping people, it's about giving back, it's about making sure that everybody gets what they need. And when you make sure that the other person is taken care of, that other person will be happy and they'll go tell someone else. And then it just begins to, always come back full circle. So I always say it's very important to do good business, to do fair business, and just walk away from the table with everybody happy. If the other person's not happy, they're more likely not going to tell someone else. They're not going to call you again, and I still have people calling me. And all I can say is, I'm out the country, I'm doing other bigger things, but I'll see, if I can find somebody to help you with that. But just to know that, they still call me is very, very, fulfilling.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Listen, I mean, and it's things like that most people don't recognize when you said it's not always about the money. And we were actually, I had John and Cassiana on the show last week. Shout out to John and Cassiana. We were talking about relationships. The word of the month with that John has is relationships. One thing that I think a lot of people miss in doing what we do is developing those relationships. And those people, most people don't recognize that those relationships last longer than the money. Um, Money will come and go, but the value that you put on the relationships that you have and the relationships you develop, will be constant or be, long lasting. How Tell me what would be your thoughts on that, on building and establishing great relationships.
I think it's very important because I think that the more a person can come to you knowing that you're dependable, the more people that will reach out to you. For example, JVing was a really big thing during a certain time when we were doing this business.
Mhm.
And, we were all talking about like closing deals together, bringing deals to the table that everybody would actually, as John would say, be able to eat
Mhm.
and being dependable, knowing that if you did your part and they did their part, everything would come together smoothly. And so I think that that was a real big part of the relationship um, partnership, is because everybody felt like, we could depend on each other. And then, things kind of changed a little bit. Some people didn't really know what they were doing. They didn't really know how to structure the deals. They didn't really know how to do the calculations of if the deals made sense. But when you structure yourself with and align yourself with people who really know what they're doing and you know what you're doing, then it creates a really good deal and everybody's happy. So I just think that's what's very important about relationships and things that'll last. When somebody says, if this person's bringing me a deal, I know it's right. If that person's bringing me a deal, I'm probably not going to look at it. So I think that's very important to make sure people know that, what you bring to the table has value.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you says, excuse me, man, I thought this water was gonna help, but you said something that's really key, is being able to do business with people that know what they're doing, and how that brings about continuous business. I think that's kind of a and I dare to say this. I think that's a fleeting idea in these days. I think a lot of people are getting into this business. I did a post the other day that said, "Is inexperience out overweighing experience now?" A lot of people are getting into this business and they're doing whatever they can, just to make a dollar. And I think what they're not understanding is that exactly what you said. If you bring me a good deal, or if you show at least a little bit of knowledge about what you're doing, I'll do continuous business with you. I think it's so many people that have come into the business of what we're doing, and they're trying to get one home run to make that 10, 15, or $20,000 check, and not realizing that doing business the way that they're doing it is the only chance that they'll have, because not many of us that have been doing this for some time will do business with them. So you made a great point in sharing that. I've got to ask a crazy question. Like, what is some of what is one of the most, we'll call it, interesting things that you've experienced doing wholesaling? See, my air quotes are interesting.
uh, it's probably the same thing I told you last time you asked me this question. So nothing, nothing has really been so far out than that. So let's see. This story was, I had a contract with a seller, and I found the buyer. And so, buyer signed the contract. Everything's looking good. We got the information over to the attorney, but we didn't have title back. And this
Mm.
particular buyer went in and tore out the stairs, busted open the door and ripped the stairs out. Before we got title, thing was signed. Still my most interesting thing that's ever happened to me.
I remember this. Yeah.
That's it. So that would still be it. That's the most interesting thing ever that I could
Wow.
honestly happen.
It's kind of hard to top that one.
So
So, but if I
so
remember this one, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, that's the same story. I mean, nothing has topped that one since then.
So if I remember this one correctly, well, one thing I remember, I think one of my students at the time was working with you on that deal. Um, the other thing is the buyer, who of course will remain nameless, they put a lockbox on the house. Is that right? So
Yeah.
no one else could get in the house.
They changed the lock. They put a lockbox on the house, which actually meant the seller couldn't access it anymore. Then they knocked the stairs down. Now,
I forgot that part. I didn't know they knocked the stairs down.
stairs down. This was before closing. This was before we even had clear title back. This is before they paid any money. This is before that you could even say that they're theirs. I can't even honestly say if he had earnest money in yet when he did.
Wow. You can't make this stuff up, huh?
Real life estate investing.
Real
Like,
life real estate investing.
like,
Wow. Yeah. There's been some interesting stories dealing with that individual. But
well,
that's one of the heightened ones that I've heard though. Wow. So let me ask you a crazy question though. Whatever became of that? I mean, did you ever close that deal with them, or what happened?
absolutely not. We lost that. He cussed me out and the buyer out, everybody. We lost that deal. Yeah,
Wow.
didn't close that deal. I mean, how? How you gonna explain somebody knocking down some stairs and putting a new? What can you say to that? Like, oh,
Wow.
that's why I said nothing has topped that.
That is
Absolutely.
something else. Like you go back to the seller and say, "We already own your house." Even though we haven't closed on it, we haven't given you any money yet. We already own it. So sit down and be quiet.
Man, I don't ever want to experience anything else like that. And what that did is, I told you, I learned from mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So then
Mm-hmm.
that changed the contract. Now the contract says, initial here, you must not, you may not change the locks, do any type of work to the property until after you've gotten clear title and the documents have been changed over to your name. Period.
Wow. Wow. And you would think someone who has a little bit of knowledge first, but someone who has an extensive amount of experience, you would think they already know that.
Because this was one of the bigger, like mogul buyers of Atlanta
Yeah.
that buy deals, that would know that you just don't do that. But I think a lot of that, so to speak, cockiness got in, and this person just felt like, hey, I'm going to close it. So what difference does it make?
Yeah.
That kind of their mentality, but that's just not how things work, because until you pay for it, it's not yours.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what, how the seller felt. So the seller was like, no, this is not going to fly, so it kind of went south. But yeah, these are some things that happen, and it kind of just, you learn from it, and then you try to make sure it never happens again by rewording things. And so that happened a lot of times, just closing deals and working with people and different things and learning things. You have to still continue to adjust that contract for
Mhm.
everything so that you kind of cover yourself. And when they read it, you kind of say initial right here. So I know you saw it, and it's not going to be a question later on, do's and don't do's type of thing.
Right, right, right. Yeah, that's something else. And oftentimes, probably sounds like I'm jumping on the inexperienced investors, but some of us we've gotten to a way of being accustomed to doing things a certain way, and we think our model should fit everybody else's model. And I think that's where this continuous education, even for those of us that are experienced, the continuous education is definitely beneficial for all of us, so that we not cross over into the lane of someone who's trying to make something happen like you were, and using our own you use the word cockiness to be presumptuous about the things that we're able to do. I
Because
get even. I'm sorry.
at the end of the day, that's really what it is. It's
Yeah.
cockiness.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Yeah. Why would you do something like that?
I mean, I get it that because of the level of experience and financial backing and all that, I get it that it's like, okay, I'm going to buy this house anyway. I get that, but if you haven't even seen clear title, how do you even propose that you're going to be able to close on the deal if title hasn't cleared yet?
Exactly.
So like
But
and
if
that.
it came back, that would have caused us not to be able to close. Then that person would have been upset at me because they jumped the gun.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, yeah. Especially when you start doing structural changes and all that. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that one I don't see that one being topped anytime soon. I think that one goes in the hall of shame. So let's get into a little more. Let's get into a little more. I mean, of course, we know that you had the experience of covering all the bases, pretty much. Tell us how you got back. How did you get into now being a trustee for the U.S. Capital Private Bank? What is that? I mean, like for those of us that have no clue, what is that, and how did you get there?
So, you know how you said I took that information from Shark Tank and went back and implemented that
Mhm.
feedback.
Yes,
So
yes.
I met this gentleman and his wife while I was in China in 2015,
Mhm.
and there in Hong Kong. And he had given me some information to help me, process house buying and different things in the US when I went back. And so I took that little bit of information and I ran with it. And I mean, I turned it into something amazing. And when he looked up and saw that, he was like, wow. He told his wife, he was like, she's someone who, we could really use here. So that's really how it came about. And I went back to China in 2017 to do training for the bank and actually, become a trustee. But my mom got sick and I wound up flying out early, if you
Mhm.
remember when 2017.
Mhm.
So then after I got back to Atlanta, basically, still doing my Airbnbs and still doing my rentals and things like that. And so I just happened to get an email and just said, hey, we would like you to come, we're by now, we'd like you to come here and just interview with us and talk to us about, maybe training again. And so that's actually really how it came about. And at that time, I really didn't understand the position of
Mhm.
trustee. I just thought, okay, I've been a loan officer before, I've pushed papers, I've done loans type of thing, but I didn't really understand the seriousness or the level of the position.
Mhm.
Like, oh, that's higher than a judge, that's higher than a lawyer. I really didn't know just what it really meant
Mhm.
until I got here and I actually started digging deep into and learning and going in deep. And so this position comes with, being a sovereign. This position comes with being a diplomat, getting a red passport. And it's the ultimate.
Whoa, whoa. Okay, okay. So look, you tell us we were talking about diplomatic immunity and all that. Dig that. Are y'all hired? I'm just kidding.
It's all because that they're trusting with the information. This is a really huge thing. This bank carries a lot of the world's assets, most of all the gold,
Mhm.
and we control a lot of the other banks. We own 61% of HSBC, so we're
Wow.
not a small bank. We are the bank.
Listen, listen, listen. Now let's get into what you told me earlier. This is where I want to talk about. This is the juicy stuff. So, um, and somebody else did a post that I'm gonna have to reference that. And somebody that got to get on the show that talked about all the little things that we run around doing in our business. As wholesalers, as fix and flippers, even buying, hold, investing. A lot of that requires a lot of work, and a lot of that, yes, we get excited because we get to make money, and with six figures and seven figures and all that. But what a lot of times, I think we think bigger picture, but what you said to me earlier, and I think in a matter of 20 seconds, my big picture thinking exploded. When you said that your bank doesn't do anything less than $100 million. That made me think about my little 50 and 60 and 100 and $200,000 flips are just minuscule. How did you get there? Like tell me about what it's like to do $100 million deal. And tell
Well,
us, so you were supposed to be on the show last week,
yeah.
but you got stuck in Dubai. Like everybody hopes to have that problem, but you got stuck in Dubai. Tell us why that happened.
Okay. So I was supposed to be coming home on the 18th, and I got stuck in Dubai because on the 17th I got a deal on my desk. And
So let me set this up. I'm sorry to cut you off. Let me set this up. Now, and you know, again, I don't take away from the hard work that us fix and flippers and wholesalers do. But when we think of deal, many of us think, you know, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000. What's a deal to you now?
I'll let somebody else tell you because you ain't gonna believe.
Man, listen. You know, and I'm gonna just speak, you know, while she stepped away. The level that she's doing things at now, you guys, is absolutely amazing. I have to say, my big picture thinking, as I consider it to be big picture thinking, of course, you know, I'm thinking, you know, multi units, having several doors, you know, all of these things are relating to real estate investing. But when you're talking to someone who is working for the World Bank, is pretty much what it is, as she described it. How they control most of the gold, and you know, several banks and things like that. I want you to hear from her what she said a deal is to her on nowadays.
Okay, y'all ready? And then, here he is. Come here for a minute, Owen. Oh, Chava's with you too. So this is Owen. If you could come in the camera,
we
he's
can,
trust there. This
we
is
can,
Chava. You gotta come around, Chava, because we live.
come
And
on around, gentlemen, come on around. We want to know what a real deal is. See,
they want to know the amount of deal that I put in today that you helped me upload. What's the amount?
500 M more.
Say it again.
500 M and more.
500 million.
And more.
He said, "What's the deal to you nowadays?" I told him we don't even do 100 million.
No, the
they don't
minimum
do
is 500.
less than $100 million deals.
No, we have to turn those away.
Wow. Well, tell me why. And you're already telling me why I got to change the name of my show, because I don't think this is real life real estate investing anymore. I think what y'all doing is real life real estate investing.
Well, it's small. This is Dubai, so we do major deals here. It's not, you talking skyscrapers, hospitals, things,
Mega projects.
mega,
Wow.
mega. So I just wanted somebody else to tell you, because I didn't want you guys to think I was making that number right.
Listen, you're sitting in Dubai. You're like, I mean, whatever you say in Dubai is true. Nobody can denounce that.
You said it.
So 100. So anything less than $100 million, you don't do. Now, can you kind of give us some insight on what is in the day in the life of a U.S. private bank person like you do? What's a regular type of deal that now I want to make sure we clarify this. You're funding these deals, right? So these are not deals that you guys are acquiring. You're actually funding the person that's buying the deal. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. What is a regular deal look like? I mean, of course, it's nothing less than $100 million, but what type of things are you funding on a regular day?
Skyscrapers, hospitals, malls, racetracks, amusement parks, aquariums, apartment buildings, villas, things of that nature.
Wow. So now being now, I guess this being that your office is in Dubai, are these primarily in Dubai, or are these all over the world?
They're all over the world.
How can I get a small $400 million loan? I mean, who do I talk to?
Me. Talking to
So listen. I know I can talk to you, Cynthia. I know I can talk to you, but you ain't gonna talk to me about no $400 million. You like, I need to have a whole staff of people to come with me to talk to you about $400 million. What does it take to get a $400 million loan? Can you kind of give me some insight? Are you underwriting these, or how does that happen?
I would have to say that it just takes a person who's in a position, to show the receipts, kind of like any other loaner. You want to buy a car, you have to show, POF. you have to show either some type of instruments or some type of assets, or, you know, something, or you have to have the structure to be able to obtain it. No different than someone who wants to buy some apartments that cost 1.5 million. You know,
Mhm.
they got to bring documents to the table and that down payment, and then, you know, the bank will handle it from there. Same thing.
Wow, wow. So I guess, now I'm familiar with jumbo loans, so I guess these would be jumbo loans.
For Pacelli, would be jump loans times 10. These would
Definitely.
be loans on steroids.
Right, right. Dig that. That is absolutely amazing. We got Mr. Wilson on. How you doing, sir? He says congratulations. Definitely congratulations to you.
Thank
So now of course doing what you're doing there. Are you still investing in the States? I mean, do you even make time to do this little old stuff we doing now?
Honestly, I'm really focused here because, again, my whole point was to scale. My whole
Mhm.
point was to be able to come back to Atlanta and really buy the block. And
Right.
so, and to do that, I have to do a few of these, you know. So that's really the plan, you know,
Wow.
the fully.
Wow. And that actually puts you in a position that, I mean, to be able to be in position to do those types of deals, of course, obviously you build the relationships and the connections with people that are doing those types of deals. So, funding for you would probably not be an issue to buy the block. Um, so tell me what drives you now? Like, I know what your grind was before, but to be doing multi, we'll call them 9-figure deals, uh, what drives you now? What's your motivation now?
Generational wealth, like
Absolutely.
my kids, my grandkids, kids, um, family.
Definitely.
That's really, 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 truly the honest answer. Like making sure that we are set for good. Like it's one thing to be rich, but it's a whole different level to be wealthy. And that's just really, really where I'm at. Like wealth, something that you're not gonna lose on a bad weekend or a strong win or something come along. Something that no matter what happens, your kids, and grandkids are set. That's my mindset where I'm at. That's what I'm working for. That's why I've been over here so long and away from my family and by myself and meditating and praying and growing to make this happen.
Great, great stuff, great stuff. And listen, it couldn't have happened to a better person because I've seen your grind, I've seen your work ethic, and it's certainly in line with where you were headed to anyway. So again, I salute you and congratulate you on your accomplishments. Um, so now that you're doing what you're doing, in 5 years from now, what do you see yourself in 5 years? Like
I
I know in the next year you're gonna be you probably will have bought a block. How many blocks do you see yourself buying in 5 years?
Oh, in 5 years, I plan on owning that big skyscraper across the street.
All right. Wow.
I'm very serious.
Wow. Listen, hey, I know it. I know it. I mean, you're there. You are. I mean, you're half. You got most of the battle won already.
Yeah, I'm
Now
very
it's a place
serious.
to see it.
That's my plan. Like that's what I want to do. Skyscrapers, malls, things of that nature. Generational wealth to where, you know, my kids are set for life. You know, forget the houses. I'm going for, you know, the skyscrapers, the 400 doors type thing.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Listen, um, now most people would say, don't forget about the little people. I ain't gonna say that because I want the skyscraper behind that one. I'm
That's
coming for the skyscraper behind that one.
hey, if you ever attend to get it, you have to first want it.
Definitely. Definitely.
And
Yeah.
so most people say, oh, you're reaching too hard or you're going to, no, you reach for the stars. You think as big as you possibly can. You know, my goal is to, in 5 years, I have my own jet and I'm going back and forth from United States to Dubai at any given chance when I feel like it. Those are my type of goals. Like I said, if your goals don't scare you, they're just not big enough. They're
Man.
just
Yeah.
enough. And that's really, really where I'm heading to, where I can just say, tell my pilot I'll be ready to go, come pick me up. I need to go to the US, or I need to go back to Dubai, or I'm going to close a deal here, or I want to fly over to Hawaii for the weekend, or I really, really think like that. And so in order to be able to move like that, you have to make money like that.
Absolutely. 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 Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. You said it, you got to think big. One of the perfect lines that, a former person that many people don't speak much about said that if you don't think if you're gonna think anyway, if you're gonna think anyway, you might as well think big. So for somebody that's trying to get to where you are and to accomplish the things that you're accomplishing, what advice or what direction would you have a person go to?
So what I would say to that person is never give up on your dreams. Never accept no for an answer.
Mm.
Never let anybody tell you what you can't do. Because trust me, before I came here, I had so many different adversaries, different obstacles, different reasons, and people telling me why I shouldn't go, why I couldn't go. Oh, Dubai does this. Oh, they treat women like that. Oh, you black, blah, blah. I've heard it all. Trust
Wow.
me.
Wow.
But I had to stay fast to my dreams, my goals, and my purpose. Because when God gives you a calling and a purpose, it's not a conference call. So nobody else knows what you were told that you can do. So you can't listen to nobody else. You have to really see it, envision it, believe in it, and go for it. And that would be my advice. Whatever your goals are, whatever it is in life that you want, it's going to be so many things. And it's always sometimes family, sometimes the person closest to you. Maybe it's your wife, maybe it's your husband, maybe it's your brother, but it's going to always be somebody who tells you, you can't do that. Like, that's too big. Like, why would you go after that? Try to do this first and then do that. And so you have to just say to those people, no, like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to let nobody tell me I'm not going to do it. And when you take that type of attitude and you take that type of stance and you're willing to do whatever it takes, meaning hard work, dedication, study, no sleep, no food, or whatever it takes to get there, and you're willing to do that, you're going to succeed. You're going to succeed.
I think people, because those things have been said so many times, I think people unfortunately reduce those things to simple cliches.
Yeah.
When they hear you got to work hard, you got to study, you're gonna lose sleep. Sometimes you're gonna forget to eat. I think people hear those things so much that they think it's just something that people say to make themselves sound good. Um, you know,
Sacrifice. They
yeah,
take that,
right.
it's been, let me see, almost 90 days I've been here. I
Mhm.
miss my family.
Yeah.
Like, that's sacrifice. I miss my kids. But that's real sacrifice. Like, people can tell you stuff like that, but how many people can do it? How many people are going to jump on a plane for 18 hours and come to a foreign country? How many people going to do that?
Wow. Wow.
So
You,
you
you
got,
know, and that's the thing. I want to make sure that the people that watch this or listen to this podcast will definitely are clear on the sacrifices that you had to make, the sleepless nights. And I mean, let's keep it 100. Most people have said for the longest time, real estate investing is a male dominant business, um, and it's women like you that come up and crush that myth. Crush that myth, and I definitely again salute you for what you've accomplished. And we're talking, let's keep it all the way 100. We met, what I want to say, 6 years ago, maybe. What's this, 2001? Maybe 6, 7 years ago, somewhere along in there. um maybe less than that, I don't know.
you know what? It was actually 2016 or 2016 or 17 when we met.
Yeah.
It really wasn't long ago. Yeah.
And look in that time span where you've come from and where you are now.
Mhm.
And you know, listen, let's call the things that you just said. You black, you're a woman, you know, all these other things that people would put on you as reasons why you shouldn't be able to succeed. And you know, I mean, we're seeing women nowadays. We got a black vice president now, you know, so the glass ceiling is shattered on a regular basis now. So it's nothing new.
I sit in on roundtable talks with sheikhs, with men who don't deal with women in business.
Mm.
I'll have basically changed that whole, that it's impossible to sit down and do business. Once you're put in a position of respect, a person talks to you and realizes you have some value to add and you know what you're about, then that kind of changes the dynamic too. But you know, that was one of the things here that people stereotyped or said to me, that I wouldn't be able to do this or that because they don't do business with women, and then they really don't do business with black women. And that's, you know, one that I was told. And so, you know, I just basically proved that all wrong. You
What would
know,
happen if you would believe that?
probably wouldn't be here.
Right, right.
Yeah, probably wouldn't be here. And one thing is, I never say something's not true because it probably is true. I just don't consider it true for me. I just me. It's not my truth. It might be true for others, or it might be the truth of the area, but it's still not my truth. And I just don't see a ceiling for me. I see that whatever it is I want to do, I can do it. And I've always been that way from a kid. My mama tell you that. If it's something that, you know, I wanted to do, I just feel like I can do it. I can make it happen. And, you know, and I always keep God first, you know. Before I do anything, I pray. Before I attempt to change careers or either, you know, just anything, I just say, Lord, lead me, guide my footsteps, make sure, you know, I'm going in the right direction, and, you know, help me accomplish this. And, you know, he always has. And that's, you know, I have to really say that that has a lot to do with, you know, where I'm at and why I'm here and why things are going the way they are. And in 5 years where I'm at then, it's always going to be the same reason, just keeping God first and, you know, following in the footsteps and where, you know, I've been led.
You know, it's you that will be the, you know, and I know this is also cliche in a sense. It's you, it's women like you that books will be written about, movies will be made about, you know, because of history, because of the story that you're creating now will be her story, his story, but her story for someone else down the line. Um, and I would venture to say, again, thank you for coming on the show, because it's someone that will watch this
Mhm.
and hear your testimony and hear your transition and hear those things, and that will lead them to getting out of the box that they're accustomed to being in.
Right.
So when I mentioned
Right.
those things earlier about, you know, the work hard and the sleepless nights, and those things all people consider to be cliches because so many people have said them.
Mhm.
And a lot of people would take that for granted, to think that, oh, that's stuff that rich people say. Not recognizing that, yeah, that's stuff that rich people say, because these are the things that they did to get them to be rich. You know, so instead of taking those things that, you know, persons like you or I would say, you know, to the work, the ethic that we had to put in to get to where we're going. I don't want to say where we are, because where we are is for a time, but where we're going is the ultimate goal. And to help people recognize that although we've worked hard, although we've, you know, missed some nights of sleep, and, you know, that's not the end of the story. You
Right.
know, the story is still being written. You know, so again, thank you. But I want to have you share with the folks, kind of how now, I know you're looking at things from a way different perspective than we're looking at now. Like, you know, of course, we're still flipping houses around here. We still flipping houses around here. Um, what's next for you? I know what your goal is in 5 years, but what's next for you? What's happening next week or next month for you?
I'm going to on my book, my autobiography, and then I've already been approached about it being a movie. So those are going to be some things coming up in my plans of what, I know that's going to be happening. And that's pretty much, the two things that I can say that I see happening in the near future.
Great stuff. Great stuff. And listen, I'm gonna be the one, I would say I'll be front row, but by the way you're gonna blow up, I might not be able to get a ticket to the front row. I might have to sit in the middle somewhere.
You know,
they, they might only let me halfway up. I'd be like, she was on the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show.
to implement that information. That's
Yes,
where it all started. That's where you saw my growth and seeing everything change. So, that has to be included. That's real. Like when someone tells you something of value and you're able to take that value for what it is and change and go and change your life, that's huge. That just means
bro.
that most you're teaching these people and your students, all they got to do is listen and go do it. That's all they got to do. That's
Definitely,
all they
definitely,
do.
definitely. Sister, well, listen, again, I can't big you up enough. I can't say how proud of you I am. To it's like to be able to see of course, I'm not minimizing you to a child or anything like that, but to see a child grow from struggling to walk from a time to now running and leading those that are running behind them, it's something to be said to see that transition happen. And again, of course, I'm not calling you a child. I want to make sure folks get what I'm
I
saying. um,
remember remember those days where I had to decide whether I was going to buy a hamburger or get gas. And I'm not afraid to say that I've been in those situations, and I think we all have. And to grow from that situation
yes,
until now, nothing but a blessing. It's
absolutely.
just have to focus and stay the course, stay the path, or whatever it is you're trying to do. But there was a time, like when we were riding around looking at houses, those are the days I was digging in the bottom of my purse trying to find change. And so it's things like that and days like that that just make you say, I got to make this happen. This is my life, this is not what God wants me to be.
Right, right. Well, sister, I got to say, you've always been a soldier because nobody could ever tell you was dealing with nothing like that. Because listen, whatever it was, you wore it well, like your Chanel and your Gucci and all the stuff you rocking down. You wear it well.
So when things happen to us, some still have nice clothes. We might have a purse or two. We might still have a nice car. But sometimes we go through things. Sometimes we fall and things change. And,
Yeah,
we may not even show it on the outside. So that's why I always try to smile. I always try to give a person a kind word because we never know what each other are going through, And there were times, that I was really struggling. I may not had enough to buy gas, like I said, but I was out there working to change that, to make sure that that wasn't my life no more. And
yeah.
so, understand that, sometimes you can make yourself not look bad. That don't mean you have to be walking around with your clothes raggedy, but you may not have no money.
Wow, wow. Listen, you don't know how profound those words are, sister. My great aunt told me when I was 12 years old, when my mom was trying to get me to clean up the house. I'm like, I'll get to it later. She sat me down and had a long conversation with me. And I said something to her, and she said this little phrase that changed my whole life. I said, we poor anyway. It ain't like nobody coming to see us. She said, boy, shut up. She said, just because you poor, don't mean you got to look like you poor.
That's right.
And from there on, I mean, I had a pride from that point on about myself to take care of the things, even if they were the little things, to take very good care of the little things that I had. So you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
You're
you so much. Thank you. We supposed to be talking about flipping houses. You talking
yeah,
about flipping countries.
never happy so much. I always like down and catch up, because we always go into what the real life is about. And a lot of people, they see and they hear about flipping houses and real estate and entrepreneurship, and they just see the good sides. They don't see all the way around the board. So that's what I really appreciate about your show. You touch on it all, and you really bring it to real life of what's going on. So I want to thank you for that. And I just want to say thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure. And I am at work, so I'm going to wrap up.
Okay. Listen, we don't want to stop you from closing them $100 million deals. Go ahead and do your thing. Any parting words you want to share with the folks, and if you want to share your contact information for folks to reach out to you.
I'm international right now, so I'll be back in the States, and people just reach me on my Facebook, so that's probably the best way to catch up with me, so.
How about IG? I want to say that handle on IG. You want to share it?
Boss lady boss lady for sin.
Boss lady for sure. Boss lady for sure. So listen, sister, I won't keep you. I know you got to get back to work. I know you got to do your thing. Thank you again. Thank you again. Blessings to you. Safe travels when you come home. And if you got time, if you got a minute in your schedule when you get back, I'd like to sit down and buy you a vegan burger or something if you eat that.
I'll reach out to you when I get home. That's
okay.
a promise.
All right. All right. Safe travels. Look forward to seeing you. And thank you again. Folks, this has been the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, where we always bring you real life real estate solutions. Definitely get in contact, follow my sister Cynthia on IG, or connect with her on Facebook. She's a wealth of knowledge. Don't miss out on the opportunity to connect with her. Thank you again, my sister. Blessings to you. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
You too. Thank you.